My journey began as a social media freelancer doing way too much for way too little.
Couple IG updates today. Instagram has taken another feature from Snapchat. Social media is a branding game. Behind that Facebook and Instagram algorithm curtain.
Until I fell in love with podcasting. Since then, I've been behind the scenes, building, growing, and scaling podcasts for some of the biggest brands on the planet. And I think it's time we turn the cameras on ourselves to share our experience. Welcome to Creative Control, a show about the art and business of content, how to build it, how to scale it, and how to actually make it matter. We're going to break down the game, dive deep on industry topics, and we're going to sit with the people shaping the culture of creative. Artists to athletes, entrepreneurs to influencers, celebrities to CEOs. It's casual, but comprehensive. It's high level, but real. I'm Alex Lagos. This is Creative Control. What's up? Welcome to Creative Control. Welcome back. If you are joining us, this is episode 2 of infinite episodes that we're rolling out here. We're talking about podcasting, and specifically today, we're going to talk about how to grow a podcast without a budget, for free. Now, when I say for free, obviously, opportunity cost, right? Like, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So when I say for free, what I mean is, like, if you have no dollars to spend and you really just want to get into this, get your hands dirty and do this yourself, here's how not only we do it here at Lagos Creative, but here's how we would recommend and how I consult for other shows to do their marketing as well. And so the two things that I want to touch on today are, one, to start it off, it'll be kind of a quick... Well, it'll be a deep dive, really, into our clip model. Clips, I think, are no secret. You know, people know that that's how you're going to get your podcast out there is clips, week over week. So we're going to deep dive into that and how we structure that, how we walk through that step by step. This is going to be like a really, really intensive, we're holding nothing back explanation for that. And then 2, I want to talk a little bit about just like, as a brand, how to grow your show from a more like, I don't know, broad stroke approach. And that gets into like lifestyle as a host and as a creator, et cetera. And so we'll touch on that kind of to wrap things up. But if you're new here, like, subscribe. We're happy you're here. As I just get my headphones plugged in, like, subscribe, happy you're here. Really excited to just continue to bring you guys awesome podcasting insights, I guess you could say. So let's dive in. If you want the 30,000 foot view of this model, you can go ahead and check out our first episode, which was we're walking through the Podcast 360 approach, which is just like literally everything that you need to know about podcasting. I think that's actually the title of that clip or of that video, is everything you need to know about podcasting. This is going out in early 2025, so if you're finding this in the future, there might be a new updated version by now, but at least that's going to give you kind of like the overall approach of how we go about this. The brief summary of that is, if I liked a comedian and I wanted you to like a comedian, I wouldn't send you their hour-long special. I would send you their 1-minute clip of one of their jokes that I think is funny and that I think that you might like. Reason for that is you don't know the host yet, so you're not going to invest 60 minutes, or the host, you don't know the comedian yet, so you're not going to invest 60 minutes of your own time to somebody that you don't know and trust that they're not going to waste your time. You don't know if you're going to like it. The same way if we go to a restaurant, I'm not going to be like, this dish is the best, order that dish for the first time. I'm going to say, have a bite of mine. And then if you like it, well, then you'll order the full dish. And if you like the joke that I send you for the comedian, then you'll go watch the special eventually. Excuse me. The same thing applies to podcast marketing, and that's what we're going to get into, is we're giving out taste tests every single day with these bite-sized clips that run anywhere from 10 to 90 seconds on social media platforms. And usually it takes somebody like 20-something clips before they realize, oh, I actually like this dish or this comedian, and I think I'm gonna go order the full dish or watch the full hour, or in this case for podcasting, like and subscribe and watch the entire show. So that's kind of the briefing. That's the catch up if you haven't seen our Podcast 360 video. Now I want to walk through step by step everything that we do at Lagos Creative when it comes to this clip model. And I think one of the most important things to know when it comes to growing your show organically is that the work on this clip model starts before you hit record. Before you hit record. The reason for that is you have to primarily go in with a plan for the clips that you want to generate. So coming up with those clips before you hit the studio is crucial. And that's why the theme song, that's one of the reasons why the theme song of the show, Wheezy says, I don't go to the studio until I got clips, ammo. I need a subject. I need the producer. You need to have that stuff planned out before you go into the studio. If you don't, you're kind of just winging it. And like you're leaving yourself to the mercy of however good you are on the fly, which most people are not that talented. And that's a very difficult approach to be successful with. So come up with the clips that you want to generate before hitting the studio. How do you do that? Well, there's a few factors. I think one, the clips that you want to generate can come based on current events. If you're like, hey, there's these trending topics right now in my industry or in the space that I have a good perspective on or that we want to discuss, because it's going to generate for us a good clippable segment that we can then push to social. That's a good representation of our show. So we're always thinking about end goal. How does this show up on the feed when somebody scrolls upon it on social media? Is it going to be engaging? Is it going to be something that is shareable, that they're going to want to push to their friends? And is it going to be something that's a good representation of the show to make them say, oh, I like that in a bite-sized form. I want the whole thing. Easton, go back up. Yeah. Another thing that you can be focused on is like if you have a guest. So if you have a guest who comes on, like let's say we have, who's somebody really relevant in the news right now?
I mean, Theo Vaughn. But he's not. Are you talking about guest-wise?
No, just really relevant in the news. Who's got stuff going on? Donald Trump. Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like if we have Donald Trump on, a question I'm going to ask him right now, just because of like what's happening in the world, is like, can you talk to me about deportation? Because that's something that I know the response that he's going to give us is going to do numbers on social media, no matter what he says to that. Now, you can get more specific there. Like if I had a marketing person come on, like for example, the interview we do with my brother, which is coming out soon. My brother comes on, e-commerce guy, and we say, hey, can you do marketing for a double-digit $1 million brand? And I want to get him to this talking point because I know that if I can get him to that answer is going to play really well on social. I can walk him right up to it and then just let him do his thing. So you kind of can alley-oop things if you have something really pointed that you want to get to.
Yeah, like you almost want to think about teeing it up as in like, how is this going to play on a 60-second clip? Like, so if you want the question to be in the clip, you need to ask it quickly, precisely, and to the point, but also think about it almost as like a hook.
Well said. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because typically that question doesn't make it into the clip.
Right. But that question, if you want it to be, then the question is quick and can make it in the clip. And even if it's not, the guest or whoever is answering the question has an easy way to answer it, and it's not a super drawn out question. You're asking a very specific question, and they can give a very specific answer.
Yes. Retweet. 100%. The next step in that, so we're going to go in, we're going to know what we want. We're going to know really specifically what we want, like name those things, know exactly what you want. Take it a step further, generate even like when we're talking about YouTube clips, generate thumbnails prior to recording. This is how all of the most efficient and effective podcasters are running things right now. They are creating thumbnails before they even have the interview. So they know, okay, if we can get that out of our guest or out of our recording process, then we know the thumbnail is going to look like this, and that helps us to just kind of plan out our interview. And if the thumbnail gets created and it looks like trash, well, then maybe we got the wrong question. Maybe we need to go back to the drawing board. So creating the actual thumbnail, or at least drafting out the actual thumbnail, gives you a more full look at exactly what your approach is for the episode, and it really informs your approach better.
Agreed.
Next, we get to the studio. When you're in the studio, when you hit record on the camera, the first thing that we do differently here than most people is we frame differently. If you notice, I haven't seen the framing, so I'm hoping EASTON has it right here. I should be framed a little wider than you would typically frame somebody when it comes to like cinematography rules and how you would typically put a single speaker on camera. The reason we do that is because I know that every minute that we're in this studio is a clippable moment. And so I want to make sure that we always have the ability to crop something wide. So it goes to crop something tall. So it goes to a 9:16 versus the horizontal 16:9. When we edit the episodes, we can obviously punch in on those so that it's not feeling wider than it should be when it goes to YouTube and people watch the full long form episode. But we always want to frame with more space around our subjects than we would typically do, just so we can, assuming that we're gonna then be able to crop in. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. The next thing you're going to do during recording, and this can be tough if you're a solo creator. If you're doing this on your own, like you're somebody who records in your bedroom, or like a home studio setup where you're the producer as well, it can be difficult to do this, but something that's really important during your podcast recordings is taking notes. Now, these notes can be taken mentally, where you're just kind of like, if you're good at this and you've done enough of this, you can take those notes mentally as you go and be like, oh, I like the way that I said that. That will be good. And then hope that when you get to the end of the recording, you'll remember those points and then you can jot them down. We'll talk about post-production in a second. But the goal is, if you have somebody with you, that they can write them down for you. And if they can write them down for you as you go, that puts you in a position where you get to the end of the recording, as we're now getting to post-production meetings, which we do in studio, we'll do after this recording, we do with all of our clients. We'll sit down and say, here's our notes. This is what our producer took. We wrote down these 7 points. We think that these 5 are probably the best. And what did you have? Did you come up with anything as you were walking through the episode? Or some hosts are like, I don't know. I can't really multitask like that. It's really difficult. That said, like I do think we take it for granted. It can be difficult. We've just done this a lot. But that's crucial because then you're saving yourself the review time, which I know kills creators. Going back, having to watch the whole episode over again, you're wasting so much, hours of time. Yep. And then in addition to that, you then have to go and cut those clips. So it's brutal. It's so much work to have to review it. So while it's fresh in your mind, as soon as you stop recording, walk through those points. And like I said, if you're a solo creator, it's a little bit more difficult. Try to do your best to take mental notes as you go through. And if you have somebody who can help you, have them write them down as you walk through the episode.
Yeah, even if you have a timer and you just write down or like jot down on your phone just like what time, whatever you think happened, so that way you can easily go back and see like, all right, what was I talking about that time?
Nice.
What was I talking about that time? And we can even put in our storefront thing, we'll put in the timers that we use.
Oh, nice.
That'll help people who are doing it by themselves.
Yep.
Just hit record, hit that timer at the same time, and you can sync it up. That way you can just quickly glance up, be like, all right, 29.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we have two wall stopwatches that work that just count up as we record, so I kind of know the approximate runtime. Our hosts are able to take a glance, see how far off or how far into an episode they are. Yeah, we'll add that to the gear list. If you're looking for a gear list, by the way, everything that we use in the studio, including now when you see this, we'll have those clocks on there too. LegosCreative.co/gear. You can see our full production list of everything that we use in here. Those are affiliate links. It doesn't affect the amount that you pay, but we do get a nice little kickback for that, for helping give you some direction on your gear, which is something, dude. I wish I had that list, by the way, when we started out. Yeah. I was feeling around in the dark for a while. But the next piece is, now that you have your notes, you have exactly what you need. These are the clips I want. And by the way, those clips, let's talk for a second really quick before we move on about what are you looking for in those. You're going to want to identify moments that have energy, moments that have gravity. It might just be low energy, but it might be something that, like, they make a statement that is like, oh, damn, that's going to move the needle on some culture. That's going to do numbers on social because of what was said. I think it's pretty, we outlined it a little bit earlier, but I think it's pretty clear when you see a good clip, you know a good clip. It's a little bit harder when you don't see something clipped to be able to identify if it would be a good one or not. It comes with practice. We've done thousands of them. It just takes time to kind of develop that feel of like, that 60 seconds is great. That 120 seconds could be cut down to 45, but that'll be great. Trying to identify those moments that you can see the finished product. Again, coming back to we're thinking consistently about how will this show up on a feed. If you can consume your content, if you can do a mental pulse check of your content as you're generating it and come up with that will be a good moment, and then put it together in post in a way that is going to play well on social.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And I think the first few seconds too are crucial.
For sure. Talk about that for a sec.
So if you just think about it in the way that you yourself or anyone scrolls through a social feed, if you were scrolling through and you see some BS on there and the first 3 seconds are like, oh, my favorite type of donut, like you're just like, scroll, see ya.
Yeah.
So you want to lock someone in within the first, I'd say 5 seconds. And it doesn't have to be, because you see sometimes like the just straight clickbait or like Hormozy stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. But I think you need to establish what the point of this clip is within the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times we cut out the question.
Yep.
It's because if I ask you, what's your favorite type of donuts? You're going to start talking about it immediately. We don't need the question. We can figure it out.
Yep.
And then that's where you can even, in the caption gives context. You could do the clip titles like we've done.
Yes.
You can give a lot more context and then cut out that 8 seconds it takes to put the question in there. And then boom, you have 10 more seconds. You can add more stuff towards the end of the clip when you have those people already locked in.
100%, dude. Love it. I think there's also so many resources out there outside of us on YouTube that are like how to create a quality YouTube or a quality social media post. Like there's so many social media air quotes guru type people out there right now that are talking about the exact recipe that goes into that we're not going to really get into here, but go do a quick YouTube search of what would you do? How to create best social media posts.
Yeah.
Or how to best
it doesn't
social
matter
media
what
clips.
you're doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of podcast or what subject matter it is. It's the same formula no matter what it is.
Yes.
So.
Now, when it comes to you have your clips, you got your ammo. Where do we put it? We recommend for podcasts specifically to push to, in this order of importance, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Now, quick asterisk. If you're somebody who has like a giant Twitter fan base, X fan base, or if you have a giant Facebook following, or you just have never really done Instagram, so like it's not really your jam, cool. Go where your people are, obviously. The reason why we're recommending YouTube, Instagram, TikTok in that order are because that's where most of the people are. That's where the algorithms are tailored most to social media content. And that's where you're going to have the most growth potential. Again, broad stroke, I'm painting super wide right now, but like that's kind of general advice. And that's where we push most of our shows. I would say YouTube I like more than everything, and the reason why it's first, head and shoulders above everybody, is because your video episode is already on YouTube. So when it comes to converting somebody from seeing a clip to then watching your long form, you don't have to ask them to leave the platform. They can literally hit and at the bottom at the what is it? What do they call it? Relevant content or relevant video or something on the YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, like the recommend. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's relevant. I don't know what the word is that they call it, but it's like the relevant video where you watch the clip and then literally right on the clip above the caption, you tap it and it takes you to the actual episode.
Can't tell you how many times I've used that too.
Dude, it's phenomenal. I think it's one of the best social media inventions that has come out in the last like 5 years in terms of efficient marketing and giving us tools that actually we want versus like, hey, you can now post your blood type on your whatever, like whatever. That is so huge. And that, to me, sets YouTube head and shoulders above the other platforms. Instagram, self-explanatory. TikTok, self-explanatory. I would recommend then, if that's what the clips are and where the clips are going, well, what are we going to, or how many of them are we going to actually post? I would recommend for newer shows, I would recommend at least 3 clips vertical per episode. I think that's a great starting point. Your best 3 moments from your episode that represent it well, that are going to drive people back to the long form. I think 3 a week is bare minimum. I think anything less than that, anything less than 3 an episode, I just don't think you're giving yourself a fair chance to know if the content's really working.
Yeah, so I'll ask this question for people out there because I know we have a lot of people who do it. So let's say, because the goal is to drip the clips out slowly throughout the week. If you're dropping a bi-weekly podcast and you're only putting out 3 clips, would you suggest to split those up, or would you want to just post everything when it's fresh that first week and leave the second week vacant?
Oh, bi-weekly's every other week.
Yeah, so you're posting a full episode every other week, but you're only doing 3 social clips.
No, I'd still put them out early.
So you'd put all 3 out the first week.
Yeah, and here's why. We'll get into this when it comes to like our distribution video. We'll really dive in, but like podcasts are measured by velocity of listenership and views. So if you get 100 views in the first hour versus 100 views in the first week, the 100 views in the first hour is going to be promoted better in algorithms than the 100 in the first week.
Acceleration.
So if you're gonna post, the goal is that somebody sees the clip and then goes and gets the long form. If you're gonna wait 12 days to post your third clip and then somebody sees it and goes to it, it's like, well, if you posted that a week and a half ago, then maybe that would have driven them to the episode faster. So I would say still promote heaviest when you drop. And to be honest, like, this is really pulling back the curtain. This is something that I don't recommend to people yet because we haven't been able to test it. I'm curious about what would happen if we posted the episode at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday and then by noon all 7 clips are out. What would happen? I can't see a social media platform being mad about it. The content's quality. Why would they be upset?
And it's not a chronological order anymore.
No, it's not. So who cares? Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm just kind of like, why wouldn't that work? I've tested it once and it went great. We dropped 3 clips in 1 hour and it went great. They all performed very well. And then after that, performance maintained. So it's, again, not something that I'm like, this is how you should do it. Something I'm curious about. And maybe this will age well. Maybe it'll age terribly. Who knows? We'll see. But that's something I'm definitely interested in.
Yeah. And also something I'd say that a lot of people I've heard have this completely wrong. And I know that we do it the right way. Post your best social clip first.
Yep.
Please do not save your best for last.
No, dude.
Please do not.
Yeah, no.
For that exact reason you just laid out, it's about acceleration, not the long-term thing. Mm-hmm. Please do not post. Because by the time you post the best clip last, no one cares.
Especially because if I've already seen the first 4.
Yeah, and you're like, this episode's not good.
Yeah. Then that's it.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah. The last thing I'll touch on here before we get into really quick summarizing lifestyle-wise as a brand, how to grow your show without any money, is you need at least 1 YouTube clip per week. So take a 5 to 8 minute segment from your episode that you know that you can generate a great title for and a great thumbnail for. And again, there's a lot of resources out there talking about that as well. What you're looking for is not on there, Easton. I didn't put it in that next segment. It's just I'm freestyling. Nice. If you can put in 1 shorter form, I'm calling them mid forms. I don't know. Nobody calls them anything. If you can put in one of those mid-form clips onto YouTube per week, you're going to diversify the content that you're putting out there. You're going to, which the algorithm's going to like. You're going to increase your viewer duration or your viewer retention because you're not asking people to stick around for 45 minutes just to get a 75% viewer retention on a video. Instead, you can ask them to stick around for 4 minutes and you get the same percentage. So putting that out there is just like, if we have the bite size like appetizers on this side of the spectrum, and then we have the long form episode on this side, which is like the main entree, we have like this kind of like tapas family style type dish right in the middle. That's going to be like your 5 to 8 minute YouTube video of a full segment on the show. And please don't feel like you're giving away your content. This is how you get people in. I promise you, this is how it works. This is how it's worked since 2018. This is how it's going to continue to work because these things have remained true throughout.
Yep.
There's been tweaks to the tactics behind it, but for the most part, this has remained true.
Taking the episode for a test drive.
Yes. Now, before we get out of here, I want to talk about, to grow a show. We talked about this a little bit on Clip Farm. To grow a show, it's so much more important. To grow a show, it's so important to realize that you need to make your audience feel welcomed. You need to make them feel at home. And I like the phrase like living your brand. And as a host of a show, whether you're a creator solo or it's you and a co-host or whatever it is, you need to make your audience feel that they're connected to you. The first way you do that is obviously just by like giving yourself and your content and showing up consistently high quality for them in your clips and in your episodes. The next way though is engaging. And I know people say like, don't read the comments, don't read the comments, don't read the comments. If you're a young creator, you better read those comments for 2 reasons. 1, you're making a connection with your audience. Number two, they might give you some valuable feedback. And I listening to that Linus Tech Tips episode I sent you from Colin Samir the other day. Linus is talking, he's got 16 million subscribers. I think he's somebody that we should probably listen to and take their advice. He's talking about, he uses his community, including his Reddit threads. He wants to hear from them what they like and what they don't like about the content, because for him, he's thinking this is a feedback loop. I create the content, I give them the content. They tell me what they think of the content and what they like and they don't like. I adjust the content, and then I give them more content. And then you just keep doing that. And there's obviously still a percentage of like, Linus is at the helm. He's driving the ship. He's going to inject his own creative and his strategy and what he thinks is best for his audience, and also just what he wants to be doing. If somebody hit us up and was like, hey, I want you guys to do a show on, I don't know, sneakers, I'd be like, I'm really not the sneaker guy. I'm not just going to start doing sneaker content, like just because I got a few comments that said they want that from me. I think that feedback loop can be extremely valuable. I also think it's not as toxic when you're connected with them. So I just think it's important as a creator to recognize, like, you're nothing without your audience. We're nothing without you. If you don't watch this, then
We're talking to ourselves.
We're just talking to ourselves here. So you'll see us in the comments. Drop a comment. We'll be there to show up and talk to you and like get some feedback. We'd love it. I hope this has helped people. I think that's a slept on piece of how to grow a show that people forget about, because it takes so much already to grow to create content, plan it, shoot it, edit it, distribute it, and then do it all again, that we forget the reason we're doing it is to grow audience, and audiences are way more than just numbers. Yeah. Audiences are people who are literally giving you their time every single time they press play or every single time that they come across your feed. And we love you for it, and we need you. So thank you. And if you want to help grow this audience, hit subscribe, like, comment, share this with a friend. And if you're somebody who is trying to, let's do this. Let's open this up. Let's open up the comments. I'm actually just thinking of this. Let's open up the comments as a forum. If you're looking for podcast advice, jump in the comments. We'll reply, or somebody else who is consuming this will see it and maybe have an answer for you or have the same problem. So use it as kind of like a networking / advice column, and we'll be there to support you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming to Creative Control. We will see you next week.